You're listening to the Just Crissin Around podcast. Here's Christopher Scott.
Hello. This is a premiere episode of Just Crissin Around with a good friend of mine who I think has led a very interesting life. What is your name for the...
My name is Barry Nelson, and interesting life, yeah, maybe. I'm 82 years old and born and raised in Chicago, in what was at the time the inner ghetto of Chicago. Today I wish I could afford to live in that inner ghetto of Chicago. But anyway, born and raised there, went to school there, graduated from DePaul University many years later.
That's a young guess.
And had kind of an interesting life. I grew up poor, very poor. And my parents finally managed to get enough money together to move out of the ghetto, and we moved up to the northwest side of Chicago. And they bought a home up there for a whole $13,000. And they put $5,000 down on it, and they paid that house off in 4 years. I have some idea how devoted they were. But anyway, I went to high school in Chicago, graduated from Lane Tech, the largest all-boys high school in the country. We had 6,000 boys in that school when I was there. Interestingly enough, my dad and my two uncles had also graduated from the same high school before the war, of course, the big war. But anyway, I then found that after high school, we had no money for college, so I had to go find a job. So the Hammond Organ company was located on the northwest side of Chicago, and they ran an ad for the mailroom boy. So I applied for this job as a mailroom clerk for $63 a week. A lot of money in those days.
I wish if I had technology, I would inflation calculate that to see how much $63 is worth today, but obviously back then.
But the fact of the matter is, I mean, no education other than high school, and there I was. Well, I spent quite a bit of time with Hammond. I moved out of the mailroom after about 6 months. I took a clerk job in the cost accounting department and spent quite a bit of time in cost accounting, going to college at night. I went to school at night for 27 years for my bachelor's degree, but I earned it.
So you were working and you were going,
oh yes,
and you were taking classes at night.
Yes. Well, but then Uncle Sam decided it would be good if I served some military time, so I went in the Army in 1964 and spent 3 years in Germany, and then came back home and went back to the organ company. And this time I was a little bit better off. I was in a semi-professional position, still going to school, and the long and the short, after many years, I spent 20 years working for the Hammond Organ company. 20 years, probably the best 20 years of my life. Learned an awful lot about people, a lot about technology, a lot about the organ business and music industry in particular, which I think today is a dying situation. I mean, you still have the big names in guitars. You have Peavey, and you have Roland and keyboards and all that, but by and large, the bands today only use a few different brands of instruments, and Hammond went by the wayside. We died, the company died in 1983. And Chris, I'm proud to tell you I have the last of the spinet organs that Hammond made. It's a model Aurora Classic, it was called, which I have in my living room, and I do attempt to play it. I'm not good at it, but I do.
It is behind the camera that you guys can't see. Eventually, my hope is to
play it a little bit.
Play it a little bit for us. But I remember over the years working in the environment I do, he and I have had very interesting conversations over the years. As I got to thinking about who I possibly would like to interview, I was like, I want to reach out and talk to Barry. And I came over a while ago and we had a good conversation. And then this stemmed out of that. And then working for Hamlin, like you said, going to school at the same time, you were also working. My dad was in the military, and he also worked nights too.
There you go.
Put him through school because he also grew up in a poor family where he had to take care of himself, and that's a lot of work. I cannot imagine doing both.
In my age group, that's pretty normal.
Right.
I mean, it was not. Folks my age would go back in time. Right after the big war, a lot of the guys came home from the war, but on the GI Bill, and they went to school on the GI Bill. But my time in the service was 64 to 70. That was the Vietnam era, although I was not in Vietnam. But the long and the short, I think my generation has a little different outlook on wealth and on possessions and that kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm proud to say I have a son and a daughter-in-law. My son has a PhD. My daughter-in-law also has a doctorate in law. She's a partner in a law firm here in Boise. And they're very successful, but they got that way by hard work.
Right. That's the one thing that I'm very grateful for. Over the years, I remember no matter what we were doing, my dad was like, always do it 110%. And of course, when you're a kid and you hear this, like, you kind of push back and you don't quite get it. But then, like, whether it was something I was studying and realized, okay, maybe I got to study a little harder for than some other people do have to memorize this material. But I worked harder. I would basically stay down there at Boise State where I was going to school and work harder on math, which was something I always struggled with, and other subjects. But I'm glad that I had my dad over the years to encourage me, and like got us into soccer, got us into Boy Scouts, as you said, like that hard work, that encouraging you to do it and not just do it halfway. And that went from Boy Scouts to going to college. I went straight out of high school and went right to Boise State, and I definitely struggled with it because I was a teenager. Well, I was probably 20, 22 years old. I wanted to have fun and these classes. But as I got taking these classes, I realized, okay, if I really wanted to get this material and I really wanted to understand it, I really needed to set aside that stuff. There would be time for play.
To follow on to that, that piece of information, when I graduated from this large boys' high school in Chicago, 6,000 boys, I graduated in the upper half of the lower third of the class. Now, mind you, we had 2 graduations per year because you couldn't do that many kids graduating in one session.
Right.
800 and some odd kids that graduated in my year, January of '62. I was probably in the 800 range, so I did not do very, very well. My grade point average was terrible. When I graduated from DePaul University 27 years later, I graduated with a 3.89 out of a possible 4.
That's awesome.
So I came to the conclusion, as you just mentioned, that learning this stuff is important.
Yeah.
Very important. That brings up another interesting topic, Chris.
Yes.
I don't know if I told you this or not, but I'm very active in the Masonic community here in Boise. I've been a Master Mason, a 3rd degree Master Mason for 49 years. And when I moved here from Tennessee about a year ago, I had to get situated into the lodges here.
Yeah.
Well, now here I'm a member of what's called the Blue Lodge. I'm also, that's a 3rd degree Mason.
Yes.
And then I'm a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, and I'm proud to say I'm a Shriner.
That's incredible.
Most people are somewhat familiar with the Shrine because of the Shrine hospitals.
Right, the Shriner hospitals.
And we're very proud of that. We support the one in Salt Lake City, Utah. There isn't one here in Idaho. But if you've ever been to a Shriners Hospital, you see those kids who are really, really in tough shape, but their morale is so high because we have taken them from a very bad situation and shown them that there is progress to be made.
Yeah.
And
so there's light at the end of the tunnel.
yes, and the thing I'm very proud of there, nobody has ever received an invoice from a Shrine Hospital. There is no such thing. You do not get billed for anything from the Shrine Hospitals.
That's absolutely awesome.
We fund all of it, and only recently, about the last 10 years, have we been asking if you have insurance, and if you do, we'll take the insurance and we'll bill the insurance company. But if they don't pay it, you don't have to pay it either.
Right.
We cover every bit of it, no matter what. Whether you need wheelchairs or braces, or we pay for all of it. And I'm very proud to be a Shriner for that reason. Anyway, the whole history of Masonry, Freemasonry in the country is very interesting to me. It goes all the way back. Many of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were Master Masons. Many of the famous generals from the beginning of time up through recent were, people like Patton and MacArthur and folks like that, Bradley, were all Master Masons. Famous people, John Wayne, there's one for you. John Wayne was also a Master Mason, as was Bob Hope, as was Danny Thomas. It's a bunch of good people to be tied to, and that's what I am. I'm tied to them. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was our first conversation we had, and I saw this ring, and we were talking about the Masons, and he said that you don't ever recruit outside. You have to be asked about it. You have to be positively invited. So I'm excited and I'll be going to a dinner at the Mason Lodge, and then starting hopefully the process.
Let me give you a little bit of something you might find interesting.
Yeah.
People hear things and they don't really realize what they're about. For example, they talk about, here's this cop and robber movie, and they get the bad guy in the police station.
Yes.
And they give him a 3rd degree.
Yes.
And everybody figures, that's kind of a tough examination under a spotlight, Well, that's partially true, because the 3rd degree in Masonry is the only true Master Mason degree there is. There's nothing higher than a 3rd degree Master Mason. But it's a difficult degree. It's not a simple matter of you ask for it and that's that, it's done. There's a lot to be learned. You have 3 different degrees in Masonry, and an apprentice, for a fellow craft, and a Master Mason. And there's something to be learned in every one of those degrees before you could be considered a Master Mason. There's another one that people hear that they don't realize where it came from. Somebody got blackballed.
Yeah.
And you say, well, okay, what does that mean? What that means in Masonry is when a vote is taken, somebody applies to be a Mason, and there's a background investigation, and then there's a vote. Is he a good person or isn't he? And if somebody feels and can prove to themselves that the candidate is not a good moral human being,
person,
they drop a black ball in the ballot box and the person is not elected. That's where the term came from, being blackballed.
That's interesting, because
I've only seen it happen twice, and both times it was because one of the old men like myself, who's a little bit shaky in their hands, grabbed the wrong ball. Instead of a white one, they grabbed a black one and dropped it. When we take the second vote, the ballot was clear, so it does happen, but very rarely. It's a good organization, Chris, it really is.
Yeah, I'm excited to start that process.
The other thing I should tell you about a little bit, self-made men. I'm a self-made man. I went to school, like I said, for my bachelor's for 27 years, and you become very careful. I've interviewed and hired and fired more MBAs and CPAs than I know what to do with. The formal education in and of itself is not enough. Formal education proves that you spend a certain amount of time studying.
It doesn't.
But can you do the job? And I think in today's economy especially, it's true not only of what I would call professionals, but also the blue collar side of the world, which is a big side of the world, by the way. You don't just become an electrician because you think you want to.
No.
There's a lot to learn.
You have a lot to learn.
A bricklayer, an auto mechanic. There's one for you.
Yes,
To be a good auto mechanic, you really have an awful lot to learn
you
because
do.
the cars today are more technology than in the old days. I used to change plugs and points and oil changes on my VWs. They were
Yes.
very easy to do, but today the new cars you can't really do much, but the mechanics can. So there's a lot of computer science involved in that.
You do. So a conversation we had off camera, a little bit of a segue, a little bit. So how technology has changed over the years. I've always loved music. I've always connected to music. I've always felt music. When I was older, it was classical music. It was jazz. But I've always loved all forms of music. One of my earliest memories is listening to The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Like, for some reason, that's a core
Really?
memory. And I don't exactly know how core memories work. Because I had to be like 3 in this memory. So this is a memory I have, being in the back of a Jeep and listening to The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Obviously, we talked about this, but you worked for a key innovator in, well, the world, the radio, and, music as
I
we
guess
heard it.
I should have mentioned to you that, or to your group here,
Yes.
I've been a ham radio operator for 65 years. I got my first ham radio license in June 15th, 1960, when radios were all tube-type radios. There was no such thing as a transistor or any of that before. So, I have a great collection of old radios that I'm very proud of. I still have my original call letters. My call letters are K9YVT, and I've had that since June of 1960. I'm not real active in the hobby right now. I have to put up an antenna somehow.
Right.
But it's another one of the great. Well, you mentioned technology.
Yes.
As an aside, to go back to my music business, if you look at rock bands today, they all have a keyboard, usually made by Roland. In fact, I knew Mr. Kakahashi, the president of Roland. But anyway, they all have a keyboard. But the big rock bands still have a Hammond organ. They have a Hammond organ model B3. It stands on four legs. It's the most unique looking thing you've ever seen. And that sound cannot be duplicated no matter what.
That's incredible.
And we tried. Hammond actually tried to make an electronic version of that. And we had, after we did it, we had people come in, professional musicians come in and play the electronic one.
Right.
And they looked at it and said, well, it sounds nice.
But it's
But
not.
it's not a B3.
But it doesn't capture the sound of the
You
B3.
could not duplicate it. And those B3s are, oh my God, they're ancient now. They're 60 years old.
We were kind of looking off camera on eBay for the B3, and they're not cheap. And we were talking about also, like, this is unfortunately off camera, but we talked about how at the time the difference between a pipe organ and what you guys created as a company, and how essentially the makers of the pipe organ were like, that's
Mr.
not
Hammond, who designed and developed the original Hammond organ, got into a situation with the pipe organ manufacturers who said, you can't call that thing an organ, it's not an organ. Organ has to have pipes and all that kind of stuff. And Hammond said, well, my organ makes the same exact sounds. No, it can't be. Well, they actually got into a lawsuit, and they set up at the University of Chicago a demonstration. The University of Chicago had a big pipe organ.
Right.
And Hammond brought in his B3. Actually, it was a B2, I think, at the time. Maybe an A100, I'm not sure anymore. But they did a blind test with a half a dozen professional musicians
Yes.
who could not hear the difference between that electronic one and the pipe organ.
That's amazing.
And because of that, Hammond was granted his patent to call
Wow.
this thing an organ, and the rest of it is history. But even today, like I said, the big rock bands, the famous rock bands, all have a B3.
Well, we even talked back to well, one of the bands you mentioned is the Beach Boys. I don't know. I've always loved the Beach Boys. I love their sound. We were talking about them and a lot of their sounds and everything.
Brian Wilson was a genius. He really was. I mean, he got caught up in drugs and all that stuff, but he was a music genius. The things he composed, but in their living room and in their house in California when they were boys, they had a Hammond B3.
That's amazing.
And Brian played it, and some of the other boys played it too, but on all of his famous music, you'll hear the B3 in the background. You'll always hear that B3.
Amazing. The stuff you don't think about until, I mean, you played a little bit, and I'll probably pause this, and at one point we'll have you kind of sit down and turn it while it is on and play it for us. But it's incredible when you don't think about that sound you hear. When I heard it, I was like, okay, it just chills. Like when you hear it, it's so powerful. It really is.
Brian Wilson was such a perfectionist. There are some things on the internet that I've seen, videos of them recording, I think it was California Girls, but I mean, he was just so adamant it had to be perfect. I mean, it'd take 20, 30, 40 takes before he got what he wanted. And you listen to it and you say to yourself, yeah, that's pretty cool. But the background to get to that pretty cool, yeah, he was a perfectionist.
And it's amazing that, so one of the things you talked about while you were in cost accounting, you helped Hammond acquire Morley pedals.
Yes. As a part of Hammond, I was the assistant controller when I left Hammond to take a controllership within the corporation. But anyway, we used to do the NAMM show in California. It's a big music show. And we were there one day, and I saw these two older gentlemen selling pedals. And any guitar player will tell you, you've got to have a volume pedal, you got to have a wah-wah pedal, you got to have like a crybaby, wah-wah. Well, anyway, these guys had a company called Morley, and they made some pretty nice looking pedals, but they weren't financially doing real well.
Right.
So I approached them and asked if they wanted to sell it, and they said, well, maybe.
Right.
They wanted a lot of money, and they wanted, I don't know, $1.5 million, something like that. But we had the money, and I was given the okay, so I bought it. I moved it from California back to Illinois, and as far as I know, Morley is still making pedals today. They're never going to compete with the Crybaby of the world, but
right.
they're still making a very, very solid, good sounding set of pedals.
That's awesome.
And again, you know, the music business, you think you know it, but you don't. You walk around at a NAMM show and you see things like flutes. You say a flute,
right?
Or recorders, and you say,
recorders.
Any of this stuff. You'd be amazed how many of those sounds are actually on music that you hear all the time. Because the different instruments can generate a different type of sound. You know, it's not all trombones, saxophones, guitars, drums. Now there's all these other peripheral instruments that really...
I was very lucky to see the band Chicago play last year. That was amazing.
Yes, I'm sure.
The wide range of different instruments you said they use. Also, I was very lucky to see Peter Frampton, who created the famous talk box.
I was very, very close, and by close I mean as close as I'm sitting to you, to John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi?
At one point, yes. At the NAMM show, we had, among other things in our collection of things, we had a Les Paul model 1958 Sunburst guitar.
Ooh.
And out of, you know, we had it behind our booth.
Right, behind the booth.
And up walks John Bon Jovi. And I thought, wait a minute, I know this face, I know who this man is. Shook his hand, can I play it? And I said, yes, but you got to play it back here because I can't.
Right, you can't
have it out there. I'm afraid someone's going to either steal it or break it or whatever. So yeah, I was very, very physically close. I don't mean a relationship, but I was very close to John Bon Jovi. But there were other people, Peter Frampton being another one, that I actually had the opportunity to meet excuse me, Jim Marshall. Now, Marshall amps are very popular guitar amps.
Yes.
In fact, my son has a double stack Marshall and a smaller one. But I got a chance to meet him. He was old at the time, but
Right.
yeah, some very famous people that went to the NAMM show.
I know that you said at one point, was it David Lee Roth?
I never met David Lee. He and Bon Jovi were, yeah, he was the front man for John Bon Jovi. I saw him, but I never actually met him.
Okay.
But once again, you know,
Being in that music business.
there's a lot of history there, Chris, a lot of history. Much of which I wish I had written down, but I haven't. This is probably the best documentation of any of it.
I agree. And that's why I wanted to, I mean, it's really kind of, as I sort of talk about in my first episode, that idea of sort of hitting that wall metaphorically or mentally and then pushing past it. I mean, like you said, you grew up in poverty, you know that, okay, at one point you saw this ad in a newspaper. You went and applied for it. You probably didn't know necessarily what you were doing with the company, but you learned. You learned what to do in the mailroom. I mean, that probably wasn't simple necessarily.
It's funny because I knew when I graduated high school, there was no college in the future. We didn't have any money.
Right, you had the money for it.
So it became, I got to get a job somewhere.
Right.
And the Hammond Organ company was known, very well known at the time. So I went out there and applied for the job, and I got it just like that. I guess it was because I was a halfway clean-cut looking kid, you know,
Right.
18 years old. But that was a piece of history that I'm very, very glad that I did, because I learned probably more than I earned at Hammond. I was to a point, interestingly enough, as an accountant. Cost accounting and general accounting are very different. Cost is actually more, what does it cost us to make this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And do we make any money selling it for?
Oh, at what level do you not?
Yes, exactly. Exactly right.
So what level do you break even? What level are you making money?
Well, when I got my first job in cost accounting, the old boy that I worked for said, he called me Buster, which bothered me.
Buster.
But he said, Buster, you're going to spend every morning out in the factory and every afternoon up here.
Okay.
And I said, why? He said, you'll find out why. So I went out in the factory that first day and looked around and thought, the superintendent grabbed a hold of me and said, come on, I've learned more about how to build organs than you'd ever imagine. We have 5 factories in the city of Chicago, and I spent every morning in one of those factories for about 2 years. I think I did that. But I then, towards the end of my career at the organ company, I became the official tour guide.
Oh, you did?
So anytime we had insurance people, legal people, accounting people, any visitors
Right.
that wanted to see the company, I'd get the call. My VP would call me and say, Barry, want to do a, sure, I'll do a tour. So I'd make them put on their safety glasses, and I put mine on, you know, and I had safety shoes, and away we went. And a couple of times, I remember coming back in to the front office, and then I'd take them into the display room and play a little bit for them.
Right.
And then one guy looked at me and he said, Barry, you're an accountant, right? I said, yes. He said, well, how do you know all this stuff? I said, well, it's very simple. You spend time out there and you talk to the real people that make these things. Not some theoretical, but the people actually putting that thing together, and you learn an awful lot. So when my son was born, I thought, you know what? I always had a workshop, I still do, in my garage. When he was born, he'd travel around the neighborhood on his bike and stuff, you know. And I would tell him, Eric, if you find a garage that doesn't have a workbench in there, or at least a toolbox, run the other way, because this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
Typically, and now again, my son is a PhD in material science and engineering, but he's also a woodworker, and he's also a good mechanic, and you know, because he learned what I learned on the floor at Hammond, you have to know how to do some of this stuff. You
Yes.
can't keep paying every time something gets broken.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford, maybe you can, but
Yes.
you can't afford to have people come in fixing stuff that you broke or that just broke.
It's broke. And that was one of the things that was very, I look at now, very fortunate. My dad was the same way. Whenever we were digging ditches, at one point, my friend Travis, he needed a fence built. And I built at least one fence with my dad or two fences. So we kind of looked how to do it. And I helped him pour the concrete and helped him build the fence like properly. But that was because my dad encouraged me to do it. And also because, okay, it might take a little bit of time, but you can look it up. You can look up how to do it. Yeah. I think we went to Home Depot, we got the proper stuff we needed to build a fence.
And again, I think today a lot of that is lost.
It is.
I think people today, they come out of college and they say, okay, here I am, I'm a professional, we'll hire somebody to fix that.
Right.
No.
Instead of just doing it.
I'll give you a simple one. I like to have places to charge my phone.
Yes.
Well, you can get the cord with the thing on the end, you can plug in it,
Yep.
or you can have outlets in your house that have the charger points in them.
Yes, you can.
I put them in here, put one in the garage and put one here in the kitchen. Because I don't want to have this stupid little charger block.
Mm-hmm.
People don't do that. The average guy would look and say, gee, where did you get those? Did they come with the house? No. No, I put those in.
I put those in here.
You did? Aren't you an accountant? Yes. Then how do you know how to, never mind.
Because I looked up how to do it. I wanted to make my life a little better.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to make. I wanted to, make my life a little easier, make my life a little, and I feel like there's a sense of accomplishment if you've done it yourself. For instance, when I got a new TV, I didn't know anything about mounting the TV. My dad's like, work with Mike's friend, work with him. You're not necessarily going to know how to set everything up, but see how he does it. And I was like, so I watched how he did it, and I kind of helped him a little bit. And I also worked with him on mounting the TV.
Yes.
Because I didn't understand how to do that. My dad's like, if you watch and you work with him, you're going to learn how to do it.
Watch and ask the questions.
Yes.
Not to be rude, but you know, why are we doing this?
Right.
And
don't be afraid to
a good person will tell you why. Let me show you why.
Yes.
And that's the difference between folks today. I really believe there's something missing. Now my son is seeing to it that both of his kids understand what a screwdriver looks like,
Yep.
what a hammer looks like,
Yep.
you know, because you should be able to tighten down a screw or,
Yes.
you know, whatever. He believes that, and so do I. So I'm glad he's following it.
In your footsteps.
My daddy was a machinist and worked dirty and greasy all day
Right.
in oil. Ran a big turret lathe and a double up round and sharp or whatever. But anyway, the fact of the matter is he had a workshop in his basement, and that's where I got the idea. He showed me how to do a lot of things, and because of that, I have a pretty nice workshop out here in the garage right now, and my son has an even nicer one. So, again, formal education, yeah, I agree with that, but I think there's also other courses of action people can take. You still earn a lot of money.
There is.
Electricians today are making more money than the average college graduate, and they don't work dirty.
No, they don't.
They're clean. They go in clean, they come out clean. Some of the other professions, maybe not, although I take my BMW into a shop and those guys are all dressed clean.
Dressed clean, they're trained, they know how to
Yes.
take care of that car, they know the car in and out.
Okay, Chris, what else can I tell you?
Maybe this is a segue where maybe we show maybe the Hammond rate definitely the organ eventually, but maybe some of the
A radio collection?
some of the radio collection.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Glad to do that.
I'm going to go ahead and kind of pause this, and I may kind of walk with this phone. Or, you know what? Let's just do this. This is a podcast. Also, there's going to be audio too. This is kind of handheld. All right, we're going to kind of walk in here, and we're just going to walk.
Maybe I'll do this for you. Maybe
Yeah, let's do this.
A little bit of noise.
Yeah.
You have to understand something, and your viewers have to understand something. I can't read music.
Okay. Oh, you can't read music at all.
Never learned to read music. So everything I play by ear, which is okay, you know, but and in this day and age, when this thing was built, there's a lot of technology here that does it for you. So, just as for instance, I can give you this. You can do a little bit of Amazing Grace, but the machine will do some interesting stuff. Here we go.
The sound of that is incredible. And it's projected out of this speaker over here that we're talking about that Hamlin invented and created. If I hear that. That's awesome.
That's all I'm going to do for a demonstration.
Perfect.
I never said I was going to.
Hey, I appreciate you being willing to do that for me.
Let me show you my radio room.
Yeah, so let's check out the radio room.
This is my kind of my pride and joy in here. I got it.
Okay.
This behind you is a vintage Collins ham radio setup. The price at the time of the radios you see sitting here, you could have bought a brand new, fully equipped Ford car.
Wow.
For what you see here. The sitting here was $3,800, and that's what the Ford sold for. Made by Collins. Collins still makes avionics, radios and airplanes.
That's amazing. Neat. Incredible.
That black one was my very first one.
Oh, the black one was your very first one?
My very first one. It's a Helicrafters S38B. Yep.
So these are your...
Then,
Yes.
here, you have the second radio station. This is another complete ham radio setup. Again, this stuff is old. The Collins behind you was from fifth stuff is probably late 90s. It's a mix of tube radio technology and solid state technology. And by the way, when I moved here from Tennessee,
Right.
before I left Tennessee, and I have certificates to show it to you, I taught in the United States twice.
Oh, really?
Every state. And you say, okay, yeah. I also have a certificate to show you where I talked to 100 countries. Yes. And I guarantee you and I together could not name 100 countries.
No.
And I talked to 100 different countries.
Close.
All with this radio right here.
All with that radio right there. That's incredible.
This is Shotzi.
Hello. How are you doing?
And then,
You're adorable.
here, let me get a good shot of this. This was my mom and dad's. They bought it right after World War II. It does not work anymore.
It doesn't work anymore.
No, it's just too old. Although it could be repaired. Then I have another piece over here that I'm very proud of. I like this one.
Looks very sort of plain, yet at the same time.
Well, it's,
Wow.
it's AM and FM
Ooh, and a
and a
record player.
turntable. This was made in 1954.
1954.
How about that?
Ooh. That's so cool.
No, that does not work. It wouldn't work.
I was going to say, does it work?
No.
Can I turn the dial? That's so cool. That's so neat.
This was sold by Montgomery Wards and Company.
Montgomery.
Then,
Yes.
your viewers might get in of this one. It's a horny phone. The horny phone was made in Czechoslovakia by the Horny family. They made TVs, radios, VCRs. This is a beautiful piece. I got it. It came from Austria, is where I got it from. But yeah, it's beautiful, and this does work.
Oh, it does work.
Oh yeah. Then, if you want to step over,
Yeah.
this is another one of my favorite pieces.
Ooh.
AM, FM, and shortwave. It's a Grundig Majestic from '58. It also has
Also has
a turntable,
a turntable. That's cool.
but
Does this work?
oh yeah,
Works. That's awesome.
how about this?
Ooh.
Reel-to-reel tape.
That's so cool.
This thing has some pretty decent sound, but understand it is not stereo.
I was going to say it isn't stereo.
It is not in '58.
Can you play it?
No,
No.
not plugged in. I haven't plugged it in a long time, but it did work at one time. So
That's awesome.
I'm sure it still does.
Yes. I always think of like the spy movies and stuff like that. When you see the reel-to-reel tape.
Actually, when I was into the whole thing,
Yes.
reel-to-reel tape was the way to go.
Oh, it was?
Oh yeah.
So that was what you used.
I have 64 rock and roll cassettes that I recorded off the air. But while I was doing that, I had a reel-to-reel turning. So it was taking everything, and then I would pull off from that tape, put onto a cassette what I wanted to have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's how you got that crisp sound then?
Yes.
That's awesome.
I had two different reel-to-reel machines. I had an Akai and I had a TIAC. I mean, these are big machines with the big reels. Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool stuff.
One of the things we talked about yesterday, well, last time I was here, when you saw me in this room, talk about this guy right here.
Well, that's an interesting thing. It's my 25-year award. I did 20 with Hammond and then 5 with Accutronics, still part of the same company. And that is an etching. It's actually a circuit board.
Oh, it's a circuit board?
Yeah, it's an etched circuit board. And they put the image of Buddy Holly on there.
Yeah.
And did all your buddies at Accutronics.
Yes.
And then they etched it. So it's really a circuit board.
That's beautiful.
Is what it is.
I didn't realize it was a circuit board when you showed it. That's amazing. The craftsmanship, the time that would have gone into etching that,
Yes.
is just awesome. Yeah, detail they give into that. Really, I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful etching of Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buddy was an innovator. In fact, he still credits today for your typical rock and roll band setup.
Yes.
The Buddy Holly setup is still going today.
Oh, it
What do
is.
I mean by that? Well, you had a rhythm guitar and a lead guitar and a drummer and a bassist, and there's your rock and roll band. Every rock and roll band you see will have that.
I didn't realize he was the innovator of that
Oh, yeah.
kind of setup and
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Other people tried, but Buddy did it.
He was the most successful at it.
Yep, he was. He had a studio in Clovis, New Mexico. They did some interesting stuff. The reverberation, interesting. He would put a microphone down the end of a long hallway and another one up here. And then they would play, and the sound echoing down that hallway gave you this reverberation sound.
Really? So before you even had that? That's so
Well,
cool.
actually, no. Before the guitar amp people had it.
Before the guitar amp people.
Hammond invented the reverberation device.
Yes.
And I can tell you right now today, any guitar amp you find, other than the cheap little ones,
Right.
any guitar amp you find will have an Accutronics reverb in it. That's where Accutronics, up here, will have an Accutronics reverb in it. Even today.
Incredible.
It's a mechanical sound.
That's absolutely incredible.
It's a set of springs where you bring the sound in, it goes down the springs, and comes back out. That's where you get the echo.
Mm.
Now, there are electronic reverbs available today,
Right.
but
not as crisp or not as
they
clean.
don't have the same sound.
It's like it's a little bit of a segue. I fell in love with vinyl, and I have original first pressings, and there's nothing like that sound, that almost that clicking or that clacking it opens when it first sort of starts, and then the music starts playing. It's just beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
Vinyl is making a pretty good comeback.
It's making
these
a
days.
massive comeback.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I
I
can understand
just purchased Nickelback's brand new album, and it's coming out on vinyl.
I want to show you one more thing.
Yes, one more thing.
See if this is the one I want.
It was this. Oh, okay.
This is my high school stadium.
Oh, wow.
My high school stadium.
What? It's huge.
I know. And I'm looking for, but I don't see it. Must be in the other one. Oh, I think my son's got it. There it is. That gives you some idea of what the school looks like.
Oh, wow.
It sits on 56 acres, right in the middle of the city of Chicago.
That's beautiful.
More than you. Oh, here we go. That's even better.
Oh, my gosh. That's gorgeous. The architecture.
I should tell you this. We are famous. I don't have one. This yearbook was photographed, printed, bound by the students.
Oh, it was?
Yes, all of them are.
What?
We had a daily newspaper
Wow. Okay, this.
that was written.
All right. I mean, hold this. So like, I love books, but you can feel this thing. This thing has some weight. It's beautifully raised. Like, the lettering is cool. Yeah, that craftsmanship on that book is awesome.
And then
Wow.
this is Lane Tech. It ties back to my big Lane Tech ring,
Oh, yes.
January of '62.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's absolutely awesome.
I'll give you one more that I had a lot of laughs with in Tennessee.
Yes.
Conversation, and I would tell somebody, go look it up in your Funkin' Wagnalls. And they would say, you didn't just say what I think you said. No, I said, look it up in your Funkin' Wagnalls. This just happens to be a Funkin' Wagnalls.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So people had this idea I was being rude.
Right, you're being rude. You're like, no, I'm talking about
But
the
once
book.
they realized that I was not, and I showed them my Funkin' Wagnalls, they would run around and, well, look it up in your Funkin' Wagnalls. I have a weird sense of humor.
That's awesome. I love it.
One last one.
Yes. Didn't you? Yes.
This flag, as evidenced by that certificate, was flown over the United States Capitol on my birthday, September or April of 2013.
Yes, 2013.
Yeah. Marshall Blackburn, who was senator from Tennessee, had that flag flown for me. I'm very proud of that. I'll get one when I die. My son will get one. But this is the one that I'm...
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's absolutely...
And that, which you cannot read,
Yes.
because it's so old,
Right.
is my grandfather's naturalization certificate.
Oh, it is? That's awesome.
When he came here from Norway,
Wow.
he was made a U.S. citizen.
Huh.
But it's hard to read and it's faded.
It is very hard to read, yes.
It's very faded, but I'm very proud of that.
It's interesting reading things like that and the wording they would have used, the different style of writing. We're very lucky to have, like, for instance, my grandma's marriage certificate from England. It's interesting the way they write that and the way they word things.
One of the things you'll find in Freemasonry is a lot of the old English wording.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, the master of the lodge is called the worshipful master. And the word worshipful makes people nervous because it sounds religious.
Right.
It's Old English. It would be more, today would be more like the honorable master.
Yes.
But because we're Old English,
Right.
it's the worshipful master. And lastly,
Yes.
on that is a Hammond
Ooh.
clock.
Ooh. That is beautiful.
Yes,
The craftsmanship on that.
that's a Hammond.
That is absolutely.
That's how Mr. Hammond started his organ company, with the clocks.
That's beautiful. The craftsmanship is amazing.
Well, there you are. What's that, Chris?
I don't think anything else. I think this has been a pleasure.
I think you've got
Yeah,
plenty of
I do.
raw material to work with.
I do. I have plenty of raw material to work with. This is obviously. Thank you so much for being a part of the first.
I'm
interview
very
for my
glad to
podcast.
do it. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Take care. This has been a very first episode of Just Crissin Around. You'll be seeing this on YouTube, audio form. Be able to hear this on, well, eventually Apple, but definitely Spotify. Take it easy, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Barry was talking to me about talking to over 100 different countries. This is the certificate that says that, as of this day, submitted evidence to the American Radio Relay League showing two-way communication with over 100 amateur stations, these are 100 different countries. The certificate recognizes outstanding performance and attests to the membership in the DX Century Club. That's incredible. That's absolutely awesome.
God.
I want to take a moment to thank our friend Brett Connor for creating that cool introduction to Just Crissin Around, and to my good friend Cameron for creating the image you saw. Be seeing you.